Paul Walker was an awesome actor who we lost long before his time. Paul was the main character through 6 of the Fast and Furious movies, which would go on to become one of the 5 highest-grossing franchises of all time. He was a great actor and driver, but he was an even better person off-screen, which is why we're writing about him. People deserve to know what kind of person the lead guy from Fast and Furious was like. He was much more than just a pretty face. He was best friends with his co-stars, Tyrese Gibson and Vin Diesel. He took the role of Brian O'Connor because he loved the idea of an undercover cop being a race car driver. He obviously never knew how much the franchise would resonate with people around the world, or how successful it would become. But luckily, he got to see a bit of that success before we lost him in 2013. This is facts about Paul Walker. He helped a young veteran. Now, for something a little more lighthearted and heartwarming, after that bit of sadness for Tyrese and Vin's lost brother. As you can probably tell by his actions off-screen, saving the sharks, helping impoverished families in Haiti, Paul Walker was a kind-hearted individual. One story recounts a time when he was shopping in a jewelry store, and he saw a young US veteran shopping with his fiancée for a wedding ring. Walker went to the store's manager and told him that he would pay for the ring as a salute to the man's service, and so he didn't need to go broke to get married. Founded a disaster relief organization. Paul Walker was a very giving, charitable individual. He was not one of these Hollywood stars who only thought about himself. He tried to help wildlife, as well as people around the world. After visiting Haiti in 2010 and seeing the terrible conditions following the massive earthquake there, he founded a disaster relief organization called Reach Out Worldwide. The organization specializes in providing basic necessities and medical assistance to survivors in the bleakest of circumstances. When Paul Walker got in his tragic car accident, he had been leaving a Reach Out Worldwide event that day. He and his sister were game show contestants. As mentioned earlier, Paul Walker got his start in the business at the young age of 2 in a Pampers commercial, and he was in his first film at 13, in the horror comedy film Monster in the Closet. In between that time, he didn't stray far from the camera in 1988. He and his sister Ashley were contestants on an episode of the game show I'm Telling, and they actually finished in 2nd place. The show was a children's version of the Newlywed Game, featuring young siblings rather than married couples. His grandfather was a famous boxer. The Paul Walker we know and love is actually Paul William Walker IV, and his grandfather Paul Williams II was a professional boxer who went by the name Irish Billy Walker. He was a heavyweight whose nickname was Golden Boy, and his professional record was 21 wins, 16 by knockout, 8 losses, and 2 draws. After retiring in 1969 as a very wealthy 30-year-old, he appeared in several films and TV shows, and also raced cars for Ford. Perhaps that's where Paul Walker IV got his love for cars. Wanted to go into marine biology before he got famous. Paul Walker was not only a good actor, both in the looks and talents department, but he was also smart. Many actors and actresses are incredibly smart, in fact, and often have big ambitions prior to becoming famous. Walker was no different. He studied marine biology at several community colleges in Southern California and wanted to get into that field before he got his break as an actor. He once met Jean-Michel Cousteau, the son of his childhood idol Jacques Cousteau, at a charity event. Owned a high-end performance car shop called Always Evolving. Paul Walker was a true car buff, not just in the Fast and Furious movies, but in real life too. It can't be stated enough, but it can be proven when we look at car-related things in his life. For instance, he owned a high-end performance car shop called Always Evolving. The shop was located in Valencia, California, and frequently had car meets to promote their exotic tune-ups. In fact, Roger Rodas, the man who had been driving the Porsche when they crashed in 2013, was the CEO of Always Evolving, and he was also Walker's financial advisor. Owned the Nissan Skyline R34 in F&F. Yes, the car that Brian O'Connor drives most frequently in the Fast and Furious franchise was actually owned by Paul Walker, and it was touched up in his Always Evolving car shop. So it had a bit of sentimentality to him. It was one of 9 Skylines used for the films, but the only real one. The others were stunt cars fitted on VW Beetle chassis. The car ran twin-turbo, 2 6-liter straight 6 engine with a Turbonetics front-mounted intercooler, and put out a whopping 550 horsepower. Not only that, but Walker also helped hand-pick all the cars that were used in the Fast and Furious movies. He hated watching himself on screen. There are quite a few actors who have big heads and bigger personalities. Being in the limelight just isn't enough, and there's never enough fame to go around. But there are others who are much more low-key and do things behind the scenes that people don't even know about. One quirky thing about Paul Walker was that he hated watching himself on screen. He would turn out for the premieres to show his respects, but after that he would never watch his films again, thinking that his acting was cringeworthy. Johnny Depp is another actor who has purportedly never seen his own films, so Walker is in good company. Was on National Geographic. Here's where Paul Walker's marine biology major played a big role in his life in 2010. He joined National Geographic's Shark Expedition, a TV documentary about monitoring great white sharks. Before that, he'd spent 11 days off the coast of Mexico with a film crew and shark experts, shooting footage of great whites for the channel's Expedition Great White. He was featured in 2013's Spawn of Jaws during Shark Week 2, in which he helped his friend, Dr. Michael Domeyer, tag a great white shark in hopes of locating the pupping grounds to protect the area. He was part of the 2014 documentary Expedition Great White Big Mama 2.